NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner, and with me today is Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Samuel King. Welcome back to NPS Now.
Thank you. Glad to be here again.
Well, the last time you were here, we were talking about the Transformation Initiative, and I thought it'd be great to bring you back to talk a little bit more about it, about where we are with that, and especially with this new year approaching, this new school year. I want us to revisit the Transformation Initiative and give an update for our parents, our students, and the community where we are in our efforts.
Sure.
So let's start with the closing of Lafayette Winona. Why did we actually close that school?
Well, we closed because we found that through our demographic study that when we took a look at the growth trends across the division, we did it by levels. Of course, we took a look at elementary, we took a look at middle and high school. As we took a look at middle, we realized that we had some capacity in terms of room for additional growth. And when we came to that realization, you know, once the study is completed and you receive your analysis, then it's my administration's responsibility to make decisions that would align with the opportunities that were presented from that study. And so one was at middle school, the fact that we had room. And so because in our strategic plan, one of our major items of interest centers on multiple options for parents and students. We wanted to seize the opportunity to take advantage of offering additional options to our parents and to our students. And so Lafayette Winona afforded us that opportunity. And so our plan is to close. We've done that. And begin the work of repurposing. We're in the process of building a committee right at this point to lay out the sequence of events, to lay out the timeline, to look at staffing, to look at a process for selection of students, a lottery process, a fair, equitable process, because I think that the school will be very attractive and enticing to parents across the division as well as students across the division.
So real quick, where are these students, since we closed the school, the new school year is approaching,
right.
Where were those students who attended Lafayette Winona? What middle school are they attending now?
We redistributed those students across the division to various middle schools based on where those students may have resided at the time. And so our appropriate departments took a look at the student list, student caseloads, took a look at the addresses and the pods, for lack of a better way to say it, and aligned the particular jurisdiction with the closest proximity by middle school. We did that again because we had capacity to do so. So we could disperse those students to the various middle schools that had room, and that was the majority of our middle schools.
And those middle schools would be like Blair?
Right. Really a number of middle schools. I don't have a list with me.
Just a number of schools.
Multiple middle schools were involved. Most of the middle schools were involved in receiving students. And so that's complete. And we also, as we transfer students to various schools, we also transfer staff to various schools. So when you think about that, as you move X number of students from Lafayette Winona to another middle school, you will want to also transfer appropriate numbers of staff to ensure that you are going to stay true to the pupil-teacher ratios as we want to, and we did. And so I'm excited about that, excited about the opportunity that those children are going to have in their middle schools for this year and into the future. However, this gives us this entire year to build a process for the repurposing of Lafayette Winona as a 3-8 choice school, total choice school, IB, pre-IB, IB, pre-international baccalaureate, into middle grades, international baccalaureate. And
so how will that program work if we repurpose it and make it IB? How will students be able to come back? Will it be just the students who lived in that zone, or will it be open for other children across the city to come? Kind of explain that process.
We're building the process now. The committee will be working on that, and we'll be working on the indicators. That's why I alluded to earlier, it needs to be an equitable process. But it is a division-wide choice initiative, which means that availability and slots will be there for across the entire division, which would include the Lafayette-Winona attendance zone as well. The process is being established at this point as to what would be an equitable, fair process for establishing a lottery where parents and students provide documentation to reflect their requests to attend, and then we do a selection process based on that. And I'm certain, I believe that we'll have a waiting list for students.
Right.
Because this will be a specialized school. Of course, the fundamentals are important first. And so the whole cycle for results and SOLs as it relates to what children should know and be able to do is of utmost importance to us, and from 3 through 8. And so, nothing usurps that.
Yeah.
We're looking at being ready to open next school year.
Okay, so next
so
school
2015.
2015.
2015-16. We're utilizing 2014-15 to be ready to build the plans and do the type of communication that we want with the community, to make the community aware, engage the community. Again, use those committees to build a process for staffing and all those things, so that we have a clear process of getting the word out in terms of what is different and innovative about this school, and so that parents can make sound decisions. And so I'm excited about the fact that this is one shining example of the transformation process moving forward. So.
And for staff members too, you know,
yes,
the students want to come, but new staff members, possibly new hires, people from other school districts may be interested in the IB program and want to come over and work with us. So there'll be a process for that too. Opening.
Right, and criteria will be built in for selection of staff. Of course, we are interested in those individuals that have immersed themselves in the introductory IB orientation, as well as other staff that may have been a part of an IB program before, which would make them very marketable. And as we enter into that selection process, then those variables will be taken into consideration for selecting the staff for that particular school.
And also with the study, the demographic study, you also surveyed parents and the community, and they're pretty much in support of this. Yes.
You know, based on the steering committees and their responses, we received support from the steering committee, as well as presenting the options to the board. Board took action, supporting movement forward with implementation, and so and all those things are positive. I think the thing, though, for me as superintendent, that I would pinpoint as extremely significant would be the fact that the establishment of a 3-8 pre-IB IB gives us the opportunity to prepare children early, to begin the process of preparing children and integrating those tenets of pre-IB and IB, which centers on rigor, so that once they leave middle school, the 8th grade, they have choices. This will not dictate or require. So they don't necessarily
have to go to Granby High School for IB.
No, absolutely
they can go
not.
to any other high school.
Right. They can make other decisions. However, it definitely should ensure that we have a higher proportion or percentage of children ready to enter the high school IB program, and that's a huge plus for us. And the plan is for those children to be reflective of the division, across the division, which means that we would anticipate a more diverse pool of candidates, highly qualified candidates across all subgroups, and so an interest for us that surfaced during discussions around the strategic plan, as well as during the comprehensive demographic study centered on socioeconomic diversity as well.
Right.
And so by opening up choice options, robust choice options, that gives us the opportunity to begin to do that in incremental steps. So. And
being that we're doing this total change, I understand the school name may change. How is that process going to work?
Well, I know I continue to mention the committee. Committee will review policy. However, I do know that name changes as it relates to a particular school is really under the auspices and the guidelines of the board and board policy. And so I would anticipate the committee making a recommendation to the
Okay.
board as to whether there should be a name change or no.
Okay.
That has not happened yet.
That's not happened yet. Okay.
No. And again, the board has the authority around that
To
to
do
make
that
decisions
if they
on
so
what happens.
desire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I understand transformation initiative. We're what, year one phase?
Well, as far as strategic planning.
Strategic planning.
Yes.
Okay, but transformation
Transformation is a
initiative.
part of the strategic plan.
Okay, I got you.
And so we're in the midst of phase 1 implementation,
Okay.
but year 2.
But year 2.
Phase 1 consists of 2 years. We entered into the first step for phase 1, which was year 1,
Right.
the previous year, which was 13-14. So 14-15 is year 2 of phase 1. And Transformation Initiative is a component of that.
And so we have other schools, and I know we have Tidewater Park and PB Young. They have a kind of a unique collaboration.
Right.
Kind of explain that process with them.
Well, we call it reconfiguration of 2 schools, which would be PB Young and Tidewater Park, as well as Fairlawn and Poplar Halls. And so it allows us to be, these schools are in close proximity. It allows us to reconfigure those schools into the pre-K 2 school, which would pair with the 3-4-5 school. And so a focus in the pre-K 2 on literacy and all of the other things that go along with SOL, of course, nothing being dismissed, but a real focus on preparing students to read and become extremely fluent,
Right.
with the goal of them leaving on target and entering that 3rd, 4th, and 5th area, reading on grade level and beyond. We all know the research around that particular variable, and we want to see 100% of our children reading on grade level and above through 3rd grade. And so by reconfiguring, it allows us to give the principal in the pre-K 2 school an opportunity to hone in on the early literacy and to provide the professional development and professional learning to teachers that will give them that laser-like focus on that particular approach in terms of teaching children
Right.
to read. So I like to refer to it as at that early stage, pre-K 2, learning to read, and then 3-4-5 reading to learn.
Yeah.
Yes, and so and we miss that many times because if you do not make that shift, and at the point that you reach 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and you're a struggling reader, then you're not reading to learn. You're at that first step. You're still at the point of learning to read, and we want to see that mitigated.
So these 4 schools that you mentioned, PB Young is going to be the pre-K through 2, and Tidewater Park is 3 through 5.
Yes.
And I was at a recent work session where those two principals, Dr. Phillips and Dr. White, they were talking about their programs and how it's not just the academics that they're merging, but it's also the community.
Right.
Tell me about that component with those schools and how important that is for these 2 schools to work together.
Well, I think it's extremely important. You know, they're working to have what I call the hybrid PTA approach, where they come together as PTAs for both of those schools, and they're referring to them as partnering schools or sister schools, that kind of thing. Vertical articulation from one school to the other, extremely beneficial. When you talk about the communities coming together, you think about the fact that at this point, all of those communities come together at the middle school level now, as we speak, and most of that happens at Ruffner Middle. But these are communities that will meet at middle school anyway already. So now, with the pairing that we're doing, we begin that process early when the children are young, where we can begin to instill the type of character building traits as well as the academic side and soft skills that are important. And I think that it should make for even a healthier transition into middle school, since these children are going to go to middle school together anyway.
It's
So
bringing
it's
an
not as if
interesting
they're not gonna
dynamic
come
together
Yes.
also with the parents really getting the two schools together. I understand they're going to merge uniform colors.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure about the other two schools, but I do
Right.
know from Tywater Park and
Yeah.
PV Young.
What the discussion has centered on at the beginning of the year being a bit flexible with those colors and the uniforms, and so the principals are working together on that. And what I like about it is that they are using the stakeholder approach. They're including the parents and the teachers in
Right.
that discussion. And I believe that what they are proposing at this point, though it could change, is that they will be flexible with the colors from both schools at this point with the uniform, so that it doesn't work a hardship on parents, and work to see a change for the next year, where they'll shift to modifying
kind of
the
phase
color.
it in.
Phase it in, yes.
Yeah. How will transportation work for these two
Transportation is
schools?
provided. We're providing transportation for those students, and that's, in my view, a must, a requirement. They're in close proximity, so that's a necessity to provide transportation. So that's what we'll be doing.
Have you heard of this type of model working in any other school districts?
Sure. I mean, you know, I think the last time we had the opportunity to come together, we talked about, you know, models and research and that kind of thing. There are shining examples of reconfiguration models such as this one, where if implemented with fidelity, then it becomes extremely successful. However, in my view, just as with anything that you roll out that's new and different, or any implementation process,
Right.
if you do not stick with the plan and the process, then you have challenges. So the research is clear around those districts and schools that did go forward with fidelity. They had success, and that's what we're looking to do. And so this is an example of modifying our approach for schools based on the needs of children.
Right.
The modification in one particular school may be different than in another, so it's based on the needs of children. But the thing that's constant centers on the high standards. That's constant. That's not modified. You must maintain the extreme high standards. You must maintain the rigor. However, the way that you go about implementing to get to that absolute may be different.
Right.
Because the needs of children.
Because the needs of
may be
children in
different.
that school
Yes.
district. What other schools are we transforming?
We are also pairing Fairlawn and Poplar Hall.
Fairlawn and Poplar
And they are doing the same process with bringing committees together and moving forward with transportation in the same format.
Okay. Any other schools outside of the ones we talked about today?
Not for reconfiguration at this point.
Not for reconfiguration,
No.
just those.
Just those. So the major items for transformation for 14-15 centers on the repurposing of Lafayette Winona, and also it does center on the reconfiguration of those schools.
Of those 4 schools.
And we're working now and diligently working to see what version of open campus we can have.
Okay.
And so hopefully we'll be close to seeing that open, the doors for that particular program to open to as a non-traditional school. Of course, the goal was to be ready in September, the beginning of September. That's a little touch and go right now because of funding. However, we're not backing away from the need, because we know what the need centers on for our children in the community. We know that we need the non-traditional approach for our children that are in middle school that are over age for grade. We know that we have children on high school grounds that are behind on credits to the point that mathematically it's very difficult for them to graduate on time.
Right.
And we don't offer the answer right now for those children. We also have children that dropped out that we need to attract back. All these things will definitely impact the life of the individual, the life of the child, the fabric of society in this community, but also increase graduation rates and impact the dropout rate as well. So those are the major things.
Yeah, thank you. Give some quick details about Open Campus, just for someone who may be watching the show for the first time.
Right.
Didn't realize we had this on our radar.
Sure. Our three-prong approach. Open Campus is designed as a non-traditional program, which would be an opportunity for those students that are on the middle school grounds that are over age for grade It gives us an opportunity to counsel with the parent and the student to make a decision for the student to enroll in open campus, provide a customized plan based on the needs of that child to work to get them caught up, supported by technology and a partnering with Magic Johnson Bridgescape. Dr. Simmons, as Deputy Superintendent for Operations and Governmental Affairs, I asked her to facilitate that review. And she's worked very diligently and is very passionate about the work. And so we're excited about what can happen with that. But that over age for grade is just one prong. Second prong is for that child that I alluded to earlier who's on the high school ground, but in some cases can see no hope.
Right.
And
because they're so far behind in credits and what have you.
Right. We do have evening school, but evening school won't get these children caught up, and it also has a fee attached to it. And when you're 6 or more credits behind, that's really
it's kind of tough.
Not very negotiable in terms of how you can move forward with that. So this gives us an opportunity to do the same with those families and students. The caseloads have already been generated. We know who the students are in middle school. We know who the students are in high school. And we've gone forward to identify the dropout caseloads as well.
Just
so it's a matter now of how many will we be able to accommodate when we open doors. And so all of that has to be aligned with the dollar and cents amount.
Of it all.
And that's the unknown right now. So.
And how many students do you think we've identified that would benefit from this program?
Well, on the caseloads, we have identified around 800 students that could benefit. You know, but that's with middle school, high school, and dropouts over the years too. And so, you know, a total of approximately 800 students on a caseload from which we can choose. Clearly, we wouldn't be able to accommodate all of those students on day one, but anything in terms of a start is much better than what we're able to offer right now. And
you have experience from your previous school district in this area.
Yes. In my previous system, we started a similar program. It was called Open Campus, just as we're proposing here. But our Open Campus that we're proposing here is proposed as a partnership between Norfolk Public Schools and Magic Johnson Bridgescape. We opened an Open Campus component in my previous division, but it was not a partnership. It was solely supported by the school division. But in every system, needs and situations are different. And so the way we went about it there, very similar to the way that we're going about it here. We were able to pinpoint those students that were behind on credits, attract back students that had dropped out, and it made a huge difference in moving the percentages of children that graduated with high school diplomas and graduated on time and went on into the next phase of life to become career ready and some go into college. So you saw this
as a great benefit to your students?
Oh, absolutely, without doubt. This is something that is tried and true. It works. It's research-based. And what I just mentioned is action research, because I've seen it happen, and we've lived the process in my previous division by seeing it happen. But it's research-based even prior to that, with what Magic Johnson Bridgescape brings to the table as a partner as well, with doing the same thing. So by partnering with them, we hope to have more traction around how we attract students that have dropped out and how we pinpoint those children that are already on the grounds and benefit those. So yes, absolutely. This is not reinventing the wheel. I mean, it's been done before. And it works. And you just tweak it. You need to tweak it for your process here. Yes, it definitely works, yes.
So how long, in addition to that, we understand the timeline for that, how long do you think it will take to fully implement our transformation initiative and reconfiguration here in Norfolk?
A number of years.
A number of years.
Because I feel that the transformation process will only grow. Because as we implement, then we will determine where we are strengthening ourselves with our children, and we will determine where we have additional challenges. And as we have additional challenges, we ought to make decisions based on the needs of those children. And if that requires an additional transformation item, then it needs to be added. But we believe in quality, and we believe in moving incrementally so that we can have powerful programs. And so I wouldn't attach, you know, a concrete finite number to it at this point. The strategic plan is a 5-year plan. The rollout for transformation is over that period of time, that 5-year period of time. Many things are scheduled within the 5-year period, but I would envision that a different version of transformation would extend beyond that 5 years as well.
Wow.
So,
we also have Campus Stella that's under demolition. Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure. Campus Stella is a major component of our transformation initiative as well. And it is designed as a K-8 initiative, not just K-8, but K-8 STEM SWIM. You heard me mention earlier the strategic plan emphasis around creating opportunities for choice. Campus Stella is another example that will allow us to do that. We're looking for that K-8 STEM SWIM program to also offer X number of additional seats for parents across the division to send their children to a very, very attractive program where we will have a state-of-the-art facility with laboratories, lecture halls, etc., all the things that are important as the items that would help enhance the process of STEM integration. We know that STEM can be integrated throughout the curriculum, but the lab setting and the lecture hall setting and all of the innovative kinds of items that are important will be a part of that program. So we're excited about what Campus Stella STEM SWIM K-8 will offer for us from a transformation initiative standpoint as well.
Right, and so that STEM is the science, technology, engineering, and math, and the swim portion will be at the Southside Aquatic Center.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Wow. So very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yes.
A lot of great things are happening. Like I said, you've been on the show before, and we want to take some more time to talk about the transformation initiative. So I thank you for coming back on the show and sharing the update of what's happening in Norfolk schools.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS, Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. And if you have any great story ideas or information, email us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Again, thank you for watching NPS Now.